You don't have to be a salon owner to be the final boss babe that everyone's looking for. You have to have the passion to feed your community and other hairstylists. Do not do salon ownership if you don't want to help your fellow stylist.
The one way that you can make sure that you're always staying humble is to never be above anything.
Why are they choosing me? It's because of the attitude. It's because I love the techniques, and because I'm really fun. I think that's a big part of it. People come here and they like to hang out. They're like, I feel like this is therapy. I'm like, I need therapy now. Just kidding. I think a lot of times people forget that too when you're out and about, and even if you're assisting you, I might be assisting you, but it doesn't mean that I am a new hairstylist or new to the game. I've been a hair educator for almost a decade now, and I might, I'd be handing you your comb. I like to call myself a human clip. You're holding up here, but I will be a human clip for the rest of my career because it gets me access to the knowledge of really amazing hairstylists and opportunities to prove myself. I always try to get there. Like, let me get the opportunity to get there, and then let Katie be Katie is usually what I say. So we have an opportunity coming up with Draco with Ulta as well. And I was like, what can I do? How am I gonna get my foot in the door with Ulta in a different way, right? And I'm always thinking about what's the next step and how we can better literally grow.
That is so important that's important that you said that piece right there, because I think what happens too is that people think that they're above certain things. And I think the one way that you can make sure that you're always staying humble is to never be above anything. If you can serve with gratitude and be a part of the system, it will come back to you as well. And I think sometimes if you're only in a space where you're like, well, I need X amount of money, or I need X amount of things, or I won't do this unless, then you're already cushioning yourself in a space where you are limiting yourself, that you cannot continue to grow. Because I guarantee you, if you go to an event and you do something where you don't expect to get paid by it, but you're just there to help out, you will stand out to people. And you will also, make connections that will future your career, that will it will implant you in a situation too where you can make more friends. You will have a situation where something could come up in the beginning and like, oh my gosh, remember that time that Ambrosia came back here? Like, oh yeah, that's right, Ambrosia. And like, let's reach out to her and see if she can co-host this or something. Like, things like that happen all the time. But you have to make sure that you are putting yourself in a place where you're serving. And that's what we do in this industry.
Yes.
We serve.
We are the service industry. Exactly. And I think a lot of hairstylists forget that. And I think because the internet blew up some of our brains to think that we are bigger than life, which some of us are bigger than life, but most of us are just regular people trying to provide beautiful services, happy services for our clients. And I think that that's the biggest important part, especially when it comes to education, is that as much as I love education, it will never be the main income in my household. I call hair education extracurriculars of hairstyling. It's something that I get to do outside of covering gray hairs and doing highlights every single day. It gets me out. It gets me meeting new people. But don't get me wrong. We make good money, but it's not money enough to leave the salon, and it's not money enough to completely go work for one brand in particular, right? Because it's only one-offs here and there. 2 times a month is not enough to completely pay all your bills. So it helps. It boosts my career, but it also, feeding this here for behind the chair is the number one most important part. So when we do go to training every year, Draco hosts a big training event called JoyCon. We're learning new Draco products. We're learning new Draco techniques, but I'm also trying to learn something new that I can bring back here to the salon. If I'm going to miss 3 days of work, the clients want to hear about what I did. Either I'm going to come back with a bunch of videos, usually I do, and some kind of new technique that I can adapt into my salon. So, which I feel like you said earlier about not rewriting the wheel, right? We all been doing highlights. You do highlights, I do highlights, everybody else does highlights, right? But it's how you present yourself, how you bring yourself to the world, how you bring yourself to your clients, what stands you out. There's 32 other salon suites in here. Why do people choose me, right? Over all of the other people? Like, what makes you stand out?
And that's in one space.
And that's in one space. And that's just in this parking lot. There's actually another salon in this parking lot. I think there's like a Supercuts in this parking lot. So there's probably another 15 hairstylists that work in this parking lot. So why are they choosing me? It's because of the attitude. It's because I love the techniques, and because I'm really fun. I think that's a big part of it. People come here and they like to hang out. They're like, I feel like this is therapy. I'm like, I need therapy now. Just kidding. My eyes twitching. I'm like, I need therapy. I'm fine.
Yeah, your eyes all twitching. Yeah, you're
Like,
like,
this
it's
is
great.
great.
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
You drive home in silence on the way home because it's been such a long
I mean,
day.
honestly, there's been many times that that's happened. We're just like
100%.
mind melted. You know what's crazy too? I feel like I have to echo this really quick. Like you were talking about the human clip before,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the fact that you talked specifically about assisting other people or whatever you want to call it. Like the fact
Yeah.
that you offer yourself to help other people no matter how long you've been doing it. But I feel
Yeah.
like I have to kind of say this because like no matter how long you've been in this industry, if you're listening in right now, if whether you're an assistant straight out of school or if you've been doing hair as long, if not longer than I have, I think the fact that somebody is here to help you out, that doesn't mean that they're below you. That doesn't mean that they're lesser than. Like, if anything, you need to place them above you, you know? And I think it's really important to serve that and to also like share that with other people too. You know, like we have an apprentice program at the salon that I've been running for years and years and years. But one of the things I wanted to say about this, because you talking about this reminded me of it. And I've worked with all kinds of different people, different personalities, all that kind of stuff, and it's been amazing. And one of the big things that people say to me when they first start doing hair as an apprentice, they're just like, I just don't know how to get the content. Like I want to be able to post content and stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're touching, 8, 9, 10 heads of hair every single day with me. Like there's your content. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but that's your client. I'm like, no, that's your client. Like the minute you touch that person's hair, that's your client too. Like this is
Yep.
something that I can't do this without you. So
Yep.
anything that you do to help me, this is your work too. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's cool. And it's just like, that is something that's so important. I think we have to keep those things in mind in order to better ourselves, to better
Mm-hmm.
our future, to leave the business better than when we entered it. That is like not just true leadership, but that's our responsibility. We have to do our due
Yeah.
diligence with that. And I think that's the
Yeah.
really important piece of it. I know you agree with that. So
100%.
when you're teaching a class, like I also want to hear this too, like what and this has been my experience. I feel like every educator I've ever talked to, so I
Mm-hmm.
know that you've been in this situation too. When you're teaching a class, I feel like there's always one who wants to like push back, keep their arms crossed, roll their eyes, get up in the middle class, anything like that, any
Just
disruption.
challenge you. Mm-hmm.
Talent, yeah.
Yep.
How do you handle that? How do you handle disengaged people or students that might be a little tough on you?
Yeah. What I learned, especially when you're teaching a class and there's, like you said, there's always one person, always. It might be because the class is free or they were forced to be there and they don't actually want to learn anything that they are there. They're actually there to try to throw you off your game. And what I do used to affect me a lot, right? I used to kind of stutter or not know what to say, but I've learned through these last couple of years that let them challenge me. Oh, well, actually, I do it this way. And I go, I'm so glad that that works for you. I do it this way. And that's why I'm showing you a different way to do it. Your way might be the same, right? And my favorite thing to tell people is there's two different directions. You can take the streets or the freeway, but we all end up at the same location. So you
Love
might
that.
do it one way. I might do it one way. Guess what? They're both doing highlights. And they're both a
Yeah.
blended look at the end of the day, right? So, especially working for a big brand. Like I taught a class a handful of years ago and someone kept asking questions like, who's your parent company? What chemicals are in here? What? And she just was trying to question me. And then as an educator for a brand, you usually give out things. She didn't take any of the free stuff when she left. It confirmed to me that she wasn't there because she wanted to learn or even learn more about the products. She just wanted to challenge me, which is fine. That makes you get your rocks off. That's great. It has made me be better at educating. And I will tell you, the disengaged, that happens a lot, especially if you're teaching to a big group of people.
Yeah.
I was just at a cosmetology school and I was sent there because they needed a little bit of encouragement to get ready and look your best and show up on time. And there was like a third of the class that was late. And
Dang.
one of them fell asleep during the class. And I've never, ever had somebody fall asleep during the class. And I just let her sleep because looking back, it's like, if that's what she wants to sleep during the class, then that's what she's going to do for the career too, right? And there's always,
Yeah.
for every one hairstylist that challenges you, there's 2 to 3 that stay after, that try to help you pack your bag, that ask you the questions. That was me. I was in the front of the class. I stayed after. I'll help you load your stuff to the car because it gives me 5 more minutes with a question asked to you. And those who I focus on the most.
Focus
When
on
they walk
them.
in the class and they sit in the front, that's a future hairstylist. Unfortunately, no hater shade to the girl that fell asleep. I don't know if you're going to fall asleep in class, you're probably not going to do well behind the chair. So putting in the effort from the very, very, very beginning of collegiate school, it will make you be a legend in this career. There's only maybe, let's say, 25 huge legends in this hairstyling career. And it's because they never gave up. And they're still, Sam Villa is how old now? And this man is still kicking butt and taking names. So that's the goal. And it's because he shows up and he's kind every single time. And he's focused on, recently a lot, what I've noticed is that he's focused on the next generation of hairstylists. Yeah. And that's kind of why I was at that school, was to see. And there's always 2 or 3 girls at the end that are just like, how do I do this? What am I doing? How do I answer these questions? And I'm like, I'll see you guys again. 100% I'll see you girls again, because they are going to make themselves out of this career. So I just kind of laugh it off. I will tell you that I called my boss after, and I was like, somebody fell asleep in class. Like, is that bad? Am I in trouble? She was like, no. I'm like, okay, what should I have done? And she's like, nothing. I'm like, should I have kicked her out of the class? She was like, no. Okay. I didn't kick her out.
Get her a pillow.
Yeah. I'm like, put on sleeping music or something. But in that class, actually, I made a funny joke because a lot of them were looking at their phones while I was talking, like a good amount of looking at their phones.
Oh, I've been there too. Yeah. It's not a great feeling.
It's not a good feeling. As you look out to the crowd, say there's 60 people out there, and like, I don't know, 15 of them were on their phones. And so I brought up how I don't look at my phone a lot while I'm working because I'm really engaged in my client. I said, like half of you are doing right now. I said, hello, hi. All their eyes looked up at me, and I'm like, hi guys, welcome back to the class that you're in.
Literally, oh my God, that's so funny. Oh my God, that was good.
And guess who didn't pick their phone up? I mean, probably 5 more picked their phone up after that, but most of them didn't. And that's the kind of things, the difference of like how you were very first trained in cosmetology school will how you live for the rest of your career. So when I was in school, we had uniforms. If you were late if you missed 12 hours, you got kicked out of the program.
Wow.
Like that, it was very strict. And I remember thinking, why is it so strict? It's supposed to be hair school. It's supposed to be fun. It was so fun. Don't get me wrong. I had so much fun. But I was working at the time at a retail store, and there was 2 other girls that were going to, what was that one cosmetology school in the mall? I can't remember. But they were going, it's out of business now at this point. But they were going.
Oh, was it a Tony and Guy Academy?
No. Something like that, though.
Yeah.
But they didn't have to wear a uniform. They can miss as much time as they needed. They don't do hair. Both of those girls don't do hair. And it's like, because you didn't get treated the structure. This job is actually very loose, flowy, but also extremely structured. And if you're not good at doing both of those things, you'll fall out of this career. And what's the average is like 5 years. Like,
God, I heard recently it's down to like 3 years now. I mean, I don't know if that's like super accurate, but if that is the case, like we got some more work to do. And I love that. I do believe like focusing on the next gen and just like supporting them a little bit more and not making it seem, because I think that's probably one of the downsides of social media in general, is that it makes it seem as though it's a lot easier than it actually is. And there's the missing backstory, that's missing context. Yeah. And so I think that that's a really big piece of it, is like being able to support the next generation of hairstylists and for them to really see what work actually goes into, what work matters, because it's not just, absolutely. And actually maybe we can talk a little bit about this too. Like, it sounds to me like you are, I hate the term generalist, actually. I wish that we had a different word instead of saying, because it's like specialist makes it sound like, oh yeah, you're a master at something, know? And then generalist is like, oh yeah, you kind of know a little bit of everything, but you're not really good at anything.
Yeah.
And I'm a generalist. So I was just curious, like, are you specialist or generalist when it comes to working behind the chair? Like, do you specialize in hair? I guess I should say.
I do mostly lived in hair color. Like, you'll never catch a double process in this chair. I do healthy hair because I do believe that what's always on trend is healthy, shiny hair. No matter what color it is, no matter what shape it is, it's shiny, healthy hair is always on trend. So here I do lived in hair color stuff, impactful blonding. But one thing you also never see is a men's haircut in this chair. I do not do men's haircuts, but I do 99.9% of everything else. Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't do perms and I don't do men's hair or double process blondes, but everything else I do, and I enjoy doing. I would say generally, I like to say I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none, which does sound harsh because you're like, oh, you haven't mastered hairstyling. I will never master this job. Never, ever master this job. And when people go, I'm a master artist, which that is a title that I'm working towards for Joico, is a master artist. It's a very important title. It's something I really, really want to work towards, but I don't believe that all of a sudden I hit that master title and then I don't have to work anymore. I don't have to work hard anymore. I don't have to learn anything new. So I don't want to be a master of anything, because that means you check off that box. Hairstyling is always changing. Techniques is always changing. Color is always changing. Technology is changing. Everything is changing. Mm-hmm. You have to keep growing. And we've all met that one hairstylist that does really well, but they have never opened their phone one time, or they've never tried a different brand, or they've been using the same 6N for every single client.
Doing the same technique on everyone.
The same technique on everyone. And I get bored of that. I think that's part of the ADHD brain that I have, of why I get to do so many things, is that I'm like, I cannot put the same foil pattern into the next person. I have to change it up. And it makes it fun. It makes it refreshing. And 13 years in, I'm not bored whatsoever. And you think that because you're trying new things, and there's some things that you go, I don't like doing that. Maybe in hair educating, have I done things that I don't really like? Not really, honestly. Never mind. Maybe waking up super early and getting on set by 7:30 in the morning kind of thing. But
that's not that fun.
That's not that fun. That's not that fun. But other than that, everything else is pretty fun. Yeah, and I love to have fun. I think that's a part of this job. I didn't choose working in retail for a reason. I do often tell people I like to do hair shows, because imagine how fun a hair show is. I think I forgot to, because of the pandemic, we stopped going to hair shows for a little bit. Imagine how fun hair shows are. And I always make the joke, imagine if we were in concrete, like how boring would it be? We would still have to go to conventions and we would still do paperwork and stuff, but it's not as fun as the beauty industry. So take it for what it is. Having fun, enjoying your time, enjoying your clients' time, making them feel good. Your career will just float, I guess. Honestly, when I was the saddest and I couldn't do hair, there were some times where my husband would say, like, well, my bills are paid and you have me and you have this. And I would have to explain to him, who a lot of people don't have the passion to be with people. I like what you said earlier about connections. I think that's what it really is finding connections that feeds my soul. When I couldn't connect with people, I was real sad. I was the saddest I had ever been before. And then I got to go back to work and talk to people, and I've never taken it for granted again. Maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I had an older client tell me how lucky I was that I got to speak to women all day long, and I got to learn about their experiences without having to live through them. And it changed my perspective of this job. I'm not here to just do your hair and cover your grays. I'm here to learn from this person so I can maybe share that with another generation. And one thing that hairstylists aren't put on a pedestal enough about is that we are some of the first people that learn about DV. And we are the first person that they're alone with outside of their abuser. And it is a so important thing to recognize those signs. And hairstylists, I've helped 3 different clients leave their abusers before, because I learned one technique from one of my other clients that left her abuser. And I've taken that information and I've shared it with the masses, and it has made other people's life better. By one person suffering, other people didn't have to suffer. And that's what I try to take from this job, is that a lot of people say, like, you're well-rounded, Katie. You have a good head on your shoulders. And I contest 100% to this job, because this job is maybe be around every single type of lady in the world. Married, divorced, children, no children, everything you could possibly imagine. It has made me a better Katie. And I do not take that for granted. This is the most beautiful job. When people, even clients, I had a client recently tell me, I want to do hair. I literally turned the chair around. I said, congratulations. It's the best job in the world. I can't wait for you. And maybe people would think if a client does hair, then I'm going to lose her. And I do her mom and her grandma. So it's like immediately people would go to, I just lost 3 clients, right? If she starts doing hair, not necessarily, right? Sometimes you don't want to do your mom's hair. I do my mom's hair, but I know a lot of hairstylists that do not do their mom's hair. And I think it's because you definitely, you can get frustrated with family. So I don't take it as a loss that she wants to do hair. I take it as the industry is gaining a really cool person. I love that. And then I talked to her more about it, and I had to have a little serious conversation, because she said, I want to rent a salon like this when I get out of school. And then I had to kind of have a real heart to heart with that's not how it works. You got to start, assisting, and then you got to work your way up. I like to say that this, owning a salon or a salon suite, is the final boss of hairstyling, right? It's made it. And I think we talked about that before too, is that you don't have to be a hair owner. You don't have to be a salon owner to be the final boss, to the boss babe that everyone's looking for. You have to have the passion to feed your community and other hairstylists. Do not do salon ownership if you don't want to help your fellow stylist. Go own a salon like this if you don't want to help the next stylists in your salon. If you don't want to have an apprentice program or even teach, because you're your salon owner, even if you don't work for a brand, you're still a hair educator. I don't care what people say. You are educating your team on whatever it is. So
agreed.
I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people think, oh, what can I do next? What's the next step for me? I'm going to own a salon. It's like, unless you really truly want to do that, it's so much effort and money spent.
Yes.
So much money spent. You can get us. I think you have 2 salons, and you can get us of how much money goes into this. And you think because I'm a salon owner, I must make the most amount of money. In reality, now all that money you made goes right back into buying that coffee bar. So
it's true.
it's something that you have to have the biggest passion for. And a lot of people ask if I ever would own a big salon again. And I tell them no. I think I checked that box off my list. I think I did it in that first year, because we were open from 2018 to 2019 before we closed down because of the pandemic. We were thriving. I made more money. I crossed into the 6 figures. I made more money than I ever have before, but it stressed me out more than anything in the world. And then the world shut down, and it was like I like to say the pandemic took the blinders off, really. And I go, maybe I didn't want to own a salon, but I wanted to help people, and I wanted to educate with people, and I wanted to be a fun, I don't know, entity in this hairstyling world, and took that and started educating instead. And I get to hang out with hairstylists every single day, just not in my salon. And then if I leave foils on the ground, no one is mad at me. So it works out all across the board. That's why I got here a little early too, because I definitely had some hair on the ground I had to sweep up from last time. So, and that's why I love the salon. So,
and there's always a cost associated anyway. I mean, it might not be a monetary cost, but I think sometimes when people think about owning a salon, they do see an out for themselves, that like, if I have a team, that eventually they can pay for the space, and then I won't have to bring that income in. And that's a way that I can earn extra income. But the cost is you have to put more time into nurturing that team, into growing the team. You have to be in constant growth mode, because at any minute you could have a walkout, or things could change, or your TI goes, or I'm sorry, your triple net goes up, or whatever on the business side of things that you just can't predict. So you have to be ahead of that prediction. So that means you have to keep growing it. That's the cost. So, and that's the other thing too. Like, if you're going to have a team, like you just said, you have to nurture that team. You have to be there for that team. You have to be present for that team. And if you want to be able to like travel, be on the road as a traveling hairstylist, or you want to be nimble and you want to have opportunities ahead of you, being a salon owner and being able to do that, there's a cost associated with that too. Because if you're gone away from your team, that whole saying, when the cat's away, the mice play, that's true. It can happen, and things can unravel the vision, the core values that you create for your salon. If you're not there for your salon and you're gone a lot, then you can't be the operator for that. You can't be the leader behind that. So, and I think it took me a while to figure this part out too, that it probably is like very obvious to some people, but it wasn't as obvious to me. And I heard, I can't remember who the heck was saying this in this way, but it helped me when it was worded this way. And it's kind of funny how wording is. Like, you could hear something, the same thing over and over and over again, but if some person says it just slightly differently, it hits differently, right? And this person was saying, if you are giving 30% of your time to something, how can you possibly expect 100% return? I'm like, God, that is so true. Like, if you're spreading yourself out amongst these things, so you have to pick and choose what it is that you really want to do. Just like you were saying, Katie, like, you love working behind the chair. You're going to keep working behind the chair. You love the relationships. You have learned from your clients how to handle things, which I actually want to backtrack to that in just a second, like something you said. And then the second part of it is that you love passing that knowledge on to other hairstylists. You love to travel and teach to those hairstylists, but you know for a fact that you can't have one without the other, and one does support the other thing, and it also makes you relatable. So it's so cool that you kind of know where you want that foundation to be, and you know where you want that growth to be. And I think that's the important factor too, leading into the biggest thing that can kill your career as a hairstylist is boredom. And you don't allow yourself to that to happen. And that's so important. And you have to be your own advocate of that. Okay. So you were saying something earlier about how you had a client that helped you recognize and say something to clients that were in certain situations that what was that thing that you were saying? You were saying that you've been in situations with clients that that they were a victim of abuse, and you were able to kind of like help guide them. And it was something that was, inspired by a client of yours. Like, share more about that.
So one of my clients, she was in a bad relationship, and he was the controller of all the finances in the military in particular. And she did all the grocery shopping, and she would go to the grocery store and take some cash out and pocket that cash. And he never checked the receipts because he doesn't. Most of men don't do the grocery shopping. Let's be honest, right? So she was able to pocket cash enough. It took a year and a half, and she was able to take her and her child out of that abusive relationship because she took that money aside and she planned ahead. She told me that just by chance. We were talking. And then fast forward to another client's in the chair, and she's in a really bad relationship. She's married to someone. She does all the grocery shopping. She's got a baby at home, and he's doing some really scary stuff. I said, have you ever thought about going, and when you go to the grocery store, take 20 bucks out, 40 bucks out? He's not going to notice. And she said, no, I don't. Maybe a year later, she told me she was able to leave that relationship because she pocketed like $1,200 over that year's time, enough to get out, right? And then to find another resource, which is your family members, your friends, or maybe through the state or the country, But at the same time, I took that information, and I just, that first client didn't tell me that and say like, go share this with the world and see what happens. But it was a notable thing where I'm like, that's genius. That's genius for these ladies that don't have control over their finances. And then I told it to another client, and then I told it to another client. And 3 ladies have left their abusers because of that information that one client told me probably 10 years ago at this point. And it has changed, like just taking those little bits of pieces and just pocketing them over and over and over again. And I don't say like, oh, this client's name and this is what they live and this is what they did, and then tell that client story. I just say, I had another client in the past, have you ever thought about doing this? And my clients go, that's a good idea. And I always make the joke, like, I'm full of them, and that's really what it is. I feel good ideas because those are good ideas are put in my head by other really amazing women. And that's the biggest accomplishment of this job, is that I've learned and became a better Katie because of the ladies that sit in this chair. And I tell them all the time, there's a couple of ladies that will just sit here and we'll talk. They'll even forget to pay me. We'll walk out together because we're just hanging out as friends. And then 2 days later, they're like, oh, I forgot to pay you. I'm like, oh, can you? Can you pay me, please? They're like, yeah, of course. But I've taken this job for so much more than what it is. It's when people say you just do hair, I love to go, you're right. I just do hair. That's it. I've never done anything else in this job besides make people feel really good about themselves and help their lives. When they come in crying and they leave not crying, that's a huge accomplishment. And in a way, maybe it feeds my ego in a way, right? Where I get to know I've helped so many women. And some of that time, sometimes, like I had a client that was leaving a boyfriend. She was really sad about it. She got a haircut every single month. And I was like, I don't think you want your haircut. I think you just want to come talk. And she's like, I think it is. I'm like, then just call me, girl. You don't have to pay me to, be that person. And I often tell them, even my husband is so great because sometimes I go home and I tell him the stories, right? My beautiful, amazing client last night, she was a little bit late because she got, oh my God, I can't believe this. She got nail glue in her eye. She thought they were eye drops and she got nail glue in her eye.
Oh my
had to
gosh.
spend a week in the hospital, had to do all this stuff. Poor, oh my gosh. I'm telling my husband this and he's like, is she okay? Do we need to go pick her up? Like he even treats my clients as they're just regular friends, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I called Chloe last night. I was like, Johnny was ready to drive you to the hospital. And she's like, I love that. It's because I do feel there's just a passion to be around people. I love being around people and I love learning from people. And it's made my career so much better. It's made my life better. So yeah, I can contest that my shoulder or my good head on my shoulders is because of these ladies that sit in my chair. So shout out clients, shout out you for making Katie better. Thank you.
Oh, that's so beautiful. There's a question that I like to ask guests on this podcast whenever I have a chance to, and I want to ask you the same. And it is, if you could change one thing about the hair industry, what would it be?
The mean girlness, the competitiveness across the board. There's enough clients to go around. There's enough followers to go around. There's enough opportunity to go around. Hating on other people in the industry, it's just something that I cannot participate with. And unfortunately, there's some girls right now on TikTok that are getting hated on because they charge a lot of money for extensions, like a mortgage and then some for extensions. And people are hating on her. And it's like, she found the clientele to pay that. Why are you mad that she's making money? Well, because I do extensions and I don't charge that much money. Maybe it's your demographic. Maybe it's where you live. Maybe it's you haven't put the education time into what this girl has put her education time in. Instead of bringing her down, ask her how she's doing that. How are you charging that much money, and how can I charge that much money? Because if people are out there paying it, there's more people out there that are willing to. So why aren't they sitting in your chair? So instead of hating on them, collaborate with them. That's something that I did talk about at that cosmetology school, is that I collab a lot. And I don't mean like with brands sometimes, obviously, but I mean with other hairstylists. Sometimes not even hairstylists. Sometimes you collab with a makeup artist or a photographer friend or a barber that works in the salon suite as you, and you learn things from them. And it might not be a new hair technique, but it might be a different way to wrap your towel around your client's head with a shampoo bowl. You have no idea. I'm constantly learning. And when you're hating on people, it makes you shut yourself off to the world. And then what is that? Like, misery needs company. You start to be really snippy and mean towards everyone. People start being snippy and mean towards you. What my mom used to say back in the days, like, you attract more flies with honey than you do vinegar,
Yes, yeah.
I think a lot of hairstylists are mean girls, or formal, reformed mean girls, and we don't want to be mean anymore. And supporting each other, if I could do that, if I could change that, that would be the one. Is stop hating on your fellow hairstylist. We're all here trying to make the world better, and we're just trying to make our money and have fun. Why don't we be mean to each other? Just have fun.
It's an insecurity, man. Oh, it's too bad. Yeah.
And if there's a hater, then honestly, in a way, if you have a hater, you made it.
Yeah, right.
You made it.
So true.
I know. I think that if you made it, it's funny to me that people hate on each other, and it just stems from jealousy.
It does something. I know. And it's a bad look for you. If you're doing it, knock it off. You just don't look good. But at the same time, like, we are a small but mighty industry. I say small but mighty because the longer you've been in this industry, the smaller it does get. And it will come back to you, like, you don't ever want to burn bridges. And even putting out that negative energy into the world, it will come back to you in some other form at some other time. Like, just don't do it, And I love that you said, like, that even made me say, like, don't hate, collaborate. Like, we need a bumper sticker or a t-shirt or something.
Put on a shirt.
Don't hate, collaborate. Yes.
And we benefit so much from that. If you just ask your fellow hairstylists for advice or whatever. There are people in my DMs all the time. I'm sure yours as well, right? You have a way bigger following. The people are asking you, they're not asking for color questions. Nine times out of 10, they're asking, how did you get there? How do I get to be like you? How do I do that? Help them. I have people all the time. How do I become an educator like that? I literally take their information. I pass it right on to my boss. Hey, this girl wants to be an educator with us. And then
you just became a natural recruiter. You didn't even know.
Yeah, right. Sorry, MLMs. Don't ask me to do your business. So, but honestly, I think collaborate. And honestly, let's do that. Let's collaborate on a shirt, and we'll put our don't hate, collaborate, because that's the out of this whole Zoom call, this whole podcast. If you can get anything from this, be nice to your fellow hairstylists. That's really
amen to that. Let's echo that over and over again. Katie, thank you so much for hanging out and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, your passion. It just reads through, it radiates from you. Like, I love hearing about your journey. I love hearing about your story. I can't wait to have you back on again, just sharing more, I'm going to put your Instagram handle down below at Katie Alm. I think it's super important. You guys follow along her journey, learn some things, repeat, replicate. Don't hate, collaborate.
Don't hate, collaborate. My thing I always like to finish a class with is a saying is, opportunity dances with those that are already on the dance floor. So put yourself out there, enjoy your time, have fun in this job, and go dance a little bit, right? I'm always dancing in the salon and at classes and at hair shows. I think we were dancing at the hair event. So thank you so much for having me, Ambrosia. It's been so fun getting to know you. Like I said, I've been following you for years and years. And that's the thing. It's like, you can follow these people and just put yourself out there. Right?
And they're real people on the other end.
They're real people. You are a real person, you know, and I've always looked up to you. So I appreciate you having me. I thank you so much. And I appreciate our friendship.
Oh, I appreciate you. I know. I love you. I love you, Bestie. I love you too. And you guys know too that we always like to close off with dream big, set goals, take action. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon.